Hey everybody, Marcos Villegas here in Las Vegas at the MGM Grand, being joined with Kathy Duva, the promoter of Sergey Kovalev, who's gearing up to defend his light heavyweight title in this matchup against Canelo Alvarez. Both fighters have been super respectful to each other, and we're used to kind of like, I don't know, like rivalry between the two, but they've been really good with each other, really respectful. It kind of threw me off for a loop, but I do like to see it because at the essence it's showing like real sportsmanship between the two and mutual respect. I think on Canelo's part, respect that Kovalev's just not some guy, like he presents a real danger to him.
I think it's more than that. I think that kind of trash talking, that's born of insecurity. The guy who's talking the loudest is usually the most insecure, unless he's just the guy who has that style, you know. And these two guys, neither one of them, that's not the default for either one. Both of them are fully secure in themselves. Both of them are fully confident, and both of them respect each other quite rightfully. So that's what you get. Two competitors who respect each other. You know, it happens all the time in other sports. And I think it's kind of nice and refreshing to see, because you know that just because they're being friendly, they're both sure they're going to win. That's why they're so secure. They're going to fight like hell when the bell rings, and their friendship isn't going to make the fight less interesting. It's going to make it more interesting.
Have you had a chance to be around with Sergey a lot this week?
Yeah, and I saw him last week too. Yeah.
How is he like mentally coming into this fight, and what have you seen from him in this week compared to like maybe the Ward fight or the Alvarez fight?
Yeah, you know, I haven't seen him like this since he fought Nathan Cleverly and won his first title, where he was happy, enjoying himself, having that attitude of I came here and I know what I'm going to do, and I know that, you know, nobody thinks I can win, but that's fine because I know I will. And that is the attitude he has. And I have, you know, once you win that title, it is this weight on your shoulders, because now everybody's out to get you. Everybody's coming to beat you. Rather than trying, you know, in anything in life, right? The striving for something is the fun part. Once you get there, generally, it's kind of a letdown, right? I think for the first time in all this time, Sergey, and this is what, his 17th title fight in a row, he is having fun. And that is because, I believe, because he's happy with his team, he's secure in himself now. He feels like he's not going, as he keeps saying, he keeps articulating it, I'm not going to that ring by myself anymore. He's having fun again, and that's what it was like in the beginning when we were climbing, when we were getting him to that big fight, when we showed up in England and everybody thought he was going to lose, and nobody gave him a chance. He had that little sparkle in his eye, and I've been seeing that now since we announced the fight, actually.
Is it also all the pressures on Canelo and not on him? Like you mentioned, everyone feels that Canelo's going to beat him, that they're not giving him much of a shot, which I don't know why people would think that, because on paper, the bigger guy usually beats the smaller guy, but
again, yeah, and Canelo, to his credit, has carried those expectations on his shoulders every time he's ever gotten in the ring. It's just the first time he's getting in a ring with a guy who's a whole lot bigger than him and possibly equally skilled, maybe even a harder puncher. And yeah, it's hard to imagine why. I heard there was a poll of 18 writers and only 2 of them picked Sergey. And that reminds me of when Holyfield was fighting Douglas and they did a poll, and the only guy who picked Holyfield was a reporter from his hometown. He probably just did it to be polite, you know. It's great when people, when those expectations are so out of whack. It's great for the guy who is the underdog. So
I would think a lot of the reporters that did choose that are basing it off the last 2 performances that Sergey's had. I know there's this narrative that's come out that Sergey's old now, that he's not the same Sergey anymore, that he's not knocking out people like he did before. When Sergey hears those things, and you being his promoter, what goes on through his mind, and what has he told you about those things when they're brought up?
You know, Sergey has, like any person in the public eye, particularly nowadays when absolutely anyone with an opinion can tell you what they think, you have to just shut it out. But for me, I feel that, yes, he's older. The mistake he was making when he lost to Alvarez, and when he lost to Ward, to be honest, was trying to fight like a young man. And I think what happened is, through this journey, when some things started to go wrong, and he finally was willing to accept other people's advice, and when he happily got married with the right people to give him that advice, particularly Buddy McGirt, who was a great trainer, I think at that point he began to accept, well, now I have to fight like an old man. And you mentioned old fighter, and I don't mean that in a pejorative way because I'm old, but if you mentioned Manny Pacquiao in particular, okay, he hasn't knocked, with the exception of one, I think somebody was way beneath him, hasn't knocked anybody out in a very, very long time.
Since Cotto, I think.
Okay, he started his career knocking everybody out. When you get older and wiser, and you no longer have maybe the reflexes or the legs that you had when you started, but you do have so much intelligence and so much wisdom and experience. If you're really great, if you're special, you're going to take all those things and use them to replace the things you've lost, and that is a winning formula. You can't be the crusher for the rest of his life. He had to decide if he wanted to stay in this game to go back to what Buddy keeps talking about, his boxing skills, which are outrageous.
I've always felt he was a very underrated boxer, Kovalev.
Yeah, and he can punch. That's a dangerous combination. And he was getting by with the punch. He was literally going into fights with the mindset of, well, I got 6 rounds and then I'm going to gas out, so I better, Now he trains differently. He rests more. He's doing what an older athlete has to do it. And he's finding out that, oh, wow, I can go 12 rounds. So it's going to be a really interesting night Saturday. I'm looking forward to it.
Why do you feel him and Buddy have meshed so well? Because when you see him, he genuinely does look like he's happy with Buddy, that he's having a good time.
Everybody has a good time with Buddy. Have you ever sat down to dinner?
He's a lot of fun. He's always laughing.
It's impossible to not have fun with Buddy. And, Buddy, the combination of his easy manner, Teddy, he and Teddy worked together. Teddy Cruz worked together with Arturo Gatti. That was the team that brought Arturo back after he lost to Oscar De La Hoya and had that run of fights that we did with him in Atlantic City. They've been through this before. They mesh well. They are easygoing, happy people who are fun to be around. And on top of that, they know what they're doing. Buddy in particular knows what he's doing, in boxing more so than most trainers. He's in the group of 2 or 3 of the very best. And Sergey is smart enough to understand that and respect it. So it works beautifully.
So Saturday night, a lot of people feel Canelo's just going to come forward. He's going to be too fast. He's going to slip all those punches and just body, and he'll get Kovalev out there. What's your response to that, and how do you see the fight playing on Saturday?
I just hope he tries that. Yeah. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah.
I honestly think Kovalev's going to box. I honestly think Sergey's going to box. I think from what you're saying and just looking at it, they have to know the smaller guy's going to try to go in there and try to get his respect and try to target the body, and because he's longer, just box. Because when you look at Sergey's boxing, longer jab, longer arms, big punch, he's going to make Canelo think twice about maybe coming in there, and he has to.
Maybe he won't. That'd be really better. But I think Canelo is way too good a fighter to make that mistake. Everybody has this idea of well, Canelo's just going to go to the body and knock him out, or Sergey's going to keep him at distance and knock him out. I don't think, when you get into fights like this, generally my experience has been you get the outcome you least expect is the one you get. But you're going to get a strategic, tactical fight. It has to be for at least part of the time. And then in the end, the two of them have so much on the line, and the two of them are so willing to do what it takes to win. You're going to have a great fight. I think it'll start slow, and I think it'll just get more interesting as it goes on.
You guys worried about it going 12 rounds? Last time he was here, the Ward fight, not the decision you guys wanted. Is that on the team's mind?
It's got to be on your mind. But in the end, he's got to go out there and try to win every round one at a time. I think a partisan crowd has a lot to do with judging, what I consider to be judging errors. I learned with Pernell Whitaker and Chavez Sr. that when the Mexican audience is really smart, they're very astute, and if their guy isn't winning, they'll
boo the hell out of them. Yeah, they will boo them.
And scream it. They'll get really quiet. We talked about, leading up to the Whitaker-Chavez fight, we talked about, with Pernell, when it gets quiet enough in there that you can hear a pin drop, you'll know you're winning. So I'm going to hope for the quiet. We'll see what happens.
Kathy, quickly, regardless of this fight, will we see Sergey in with beterbiev or Bivol?
Absolutely. He's already talked about, those being his goals after this fight, and the result of this fight wouldn't change that.
If he wins, you think it's for sure Hall of Fame for Sergey?
Absolutely, better be.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Let me tell you, if I'm still around when it's his time, I'm going to be out campaigning for him because he's going to deserve that, yeah.
In honor of Halloween, because it is Halloween, Kathy, go ahead and pick from our little Halloween treat.
Snickers. Okay, thank you so much.
There's more treats in there.
Oh, no, not for me. No.
Are you sure? Come over here, Nicole. Here, Nicole, make a guest appearance.
Yes. Ooh, peanut M&Ms for sure. I'm going to take both. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Well, happy Halloween.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
For those people who don't know me, Devin the Dream Haney. After a hard workout, I always make sure I take my proglycosin. Great for recovery. Recovery is a big part of training, and take your proglycosin, you'll feel much better.